Right, England's 14-man squad has been announced for the first test against India, with Gus Atkinson missing out with a hamstring injury. Also, no place for Matt Potts, while Bryden Cast, Chris Woakes, and Jacob Bethell are all recalled. Plenty to talk about, Harmy. But the burning question for me, and it's not important, but it's still burning, is why have England taken to naming squads and teams so early? I get, the 24 hours before the game, so the players know where they stand. But this just seems, I mean, it's 12 days before the test. It just seems like a lot can happen in that time.
Yeah, a lot can happen. It seems as though they want to do it to stop players playing cricket. It really does. We've seen it leading into the Zimbabwe test where they named the squad like 2 weeks before. Then them two rounds of county championship matches, no bowler played in them, and we looked at it, they're a little bit rusty, or we got injured. So I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. There's clarity of knowing that you're in the squad and there's nothing, there's no anxiety going into the week before are you going to get selected. I'm all for picking a team 24 hours out. I'd rather it wasn't made public. Quite happily for it to the players know during their final warm up, their final preparation day that they're playing, and go to bed knowing that they're playing at night. No problem with that. I look at this 40-man squad. I'm happy with it. I think it's a decent squad. I said on H&J, I'm amazed about Matt Potts. I mean, I don't really know where Matt Potts stands in this cricketing world now with England, because they look at him as a white ball player, but they picked the first 50 over team of the summer, and he wasn't in that, and he only played the second one because Jamie Overton got injured and got bust his hand. So he's somebody I think you can hang your hat on to know that he's very, very durable, and you can build a bowling attack around him. So I'm struggling with that omission, but the rest of them, they're under bowled. But I like that Woakes and Tongue have played this week in the Lions game. Have a week off and be ready for it. It looks like England's bowling attack will be Woakes, Cars, either Overton or Tongue, probably Tongue, and Bashir with Ben Stokes. I don't mind that. I think that's quite a very powerful unit with Jofra to come later on. So I think all in all, I'm quite happy with where England's squad's at when it comes to the name point of view. So the names on the sheet. I just worried that our bowlers in a position to hit the first test match, ground running, bang, with overs, momentum, confidence, and durability, that if it is flat and India get in and we are bowling in the 91st to 101st over, are we still going to be able to either knock a tail over or do something on a flat wicket, which makes a difference? So they're the concerns I have for this group, but the rest of it, I think it's a good side.
Okay, well, our very own producer Scott Taylor has been talking to England selector Luke Wright, and this is what he had to say about Potts's omission from the squad.
Yeah, look, it's really tough on Potsy. As I said, looking at the squad, we wanted that option of varied attack. So it was probably between him and Cookie for that other spare bowler. If we were to lose, a Wokesy. And we just felt that maybe Cookie at the moment has just got the edge with that new ball. But look, it's pretty close. We know what Potsy's all about. I feel for him, missing out. It's not easy for him. He's a great option for us. It's great to have him as a squad bowler in the pack if any injuries happen. But just on this occasion, he's just missed out.
That's England selector Luke Wright talking to talkSPORT's Scott Taylor, who also produces this show and has done for over 4 years. Thank you, Scotty. He also said that Jacob Bethell was very close to making the 11. We spoke about this last week, and I don't know whether you changed your mind. If he is very close and he gets into the 11, where and how, or is it like the Sylvester Stallone? What's that film, The Great Escape, where he has to having his arm broken?
Yeah, the goalkeeper has his arm broken. So was it Hash? Was his name Hash in the Hash? Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. Great Escape, one of my favorite films ever. Escape to Victory, sorry, not A Great Escape.
That's right.
Escape to Victory. But does he play? No, he doesn't. Not for me. The talent is there. I mean, I had somebody try to compare him with the Kevin Peterson one recently, and I just couldn't stop laughing until he fell off my chair. You know, talking about is this situation the same as what Peterson? No, nowhere near. Everybody in the world knew that Kevin was ready to play international cricket and, you know, score hundreds. This lad is very, very talented. He's got a huge future in the game. He hasn't scored a professional 100. So where he goes, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't like to see him just sit in the squad for 5 Test matches. Ollie Pope has earned the right to be number 3 because you didn't bring Jacob back from IPL. You said to Ollie Pope, you're going to bat number 3 against Zimbabwe. So we believe that over the summer you are on number 3. Ben Stokes has got a hell of a lot of trust in Ollie Pope. And all he needed him was to get some runs, and he did. So for me, Pope bats at 3, Bethell misses out. And if anybody has this thought that he's going to be a spin bowler and we play 4 seamers, you're asking a hell of a lot of Ben Stokes' body then. So no, not for me. He waits in the wings. There will be a chance for him somewhere. I just think now it's about managing what cricket he gets in between. So he doesn't just sit basically in a dressing room for 5 days. Watching the top 6 batters perform. So I'm pleased he's in the squad. It's good recognition, but I think it's now important that we make sure he's still playing cricket, he's still hitting balls, and he can potentially get that 100 before he makes his Test match bow in this series. And that, I think, is the challenge for England's management group. But I don't see him playing in it. I think Ollie Pope, number 3, you didn't bring Bethell back. You played Pope against Zimbabwe. And he's backed you up by getting runs, so leave him as it is.
A couple of people have said to me, Harmy, why is Chris Woakes still being, why is he being recalled? I think he's 36 now, and I've been a bit tetchy in my response because I love it for the fact that yes, okay, be obsessed with the Ashes, but make it a healthy obsession, and don't forget that this is the first series in the next cycle of the World Test Championship, and you need to beat India in England. And if Chris Woakes is the best man to do that at Headingley, then don't not pick him because you're obsessed unhealthily with the Ashes in 6 months' time.
100%, totally agree. I mean, you're only going to win the Ashes in 6 months' time if you beat India. You can't just turn it on. And I think you have to build a momentum. You have to build a confidence. You have to bring a mentality of, in any given situation, we can win from everywhere. And that's what Ben and Brendan have done. They've built a noise from inside the camp that no matter what you play on, no matter who you are, we can play our way and beat you. And there's different ways of doing that. And I think what you have with Woakes, the Ashes is one thing. You get a lot of Chris Woakes. This is the thing he's so important for. It's not just the opening bowler that bowls 80 mile an hour and people will say, oh, he's losing a bit of pace. It's not just that. It's not the opening bowler. You're getting the number 8 batter. The number 8 batter who can score 40 or 50, protect the score from 375 to sort of 450 and 475. That's a game changer. And also the experience that Chris Woakes gives, calmness that he has around the dressing room, his ability to be one of the nicest guys. He's one of the nicest fast bowlers I've ever met. Some would argue too nice, but all this becomes a package. And forget that he's 36 years old. He is a very, very, very important cricketer, I think, for England, post Jimmy Anderson, post Stuart Broad, because you need somebody to bring it all together. And at times he has, at times he hasn't. But I think now he's just played that Lions game. He's got the 3 wickets. He's seen off Jaiswal. He bowled really nicely. Pace looked as though it was up. And let's be fair, he's not going to knock anybody's head off. It's not 85 mile an hour, but he was outside and inside edge. He was challenging when I watched him in that Lions game, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, he has to play. He has to bring this whole thing together and let the fast lads do what the fast lads things do around him. But there's more to Chris Woakes than just opening the ball, and there's a huge package in there which is very, very valuable for England.
Okay, let's just hear quickly again from Luke Wright talking about Jofra Archer.
Yeah, Joff's also trucking on really well, actually. The plan for him, he's playing a few second team games. He's getting a few loading up in the second team for Sussex. And then the idea for him is to play for Sussex against Durham, I think on the 23rd, during the first test, actually. So he'll play for Sussex if all things go well. And then if things go well, then fingers crossed he should be available for second test.
That's Luke Wright talking about Jofra Archer verging on full test match fitness again. At some point, Harmy, the cotton wool needs to be wrapped up and thrown away, and he just needs to get out on the park. And I would like to make the point that for anybody who's under the impression that Jofra Archer enjoys the cotton wool treatment, he doesn't. He is very much of a mind, just let me play. Just let me play, and if I break down, I break down. Isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is somebody who just wants to be let loose. And we've seen at times he's come back and played in Barbados with his mates when he's not supposed to be. This is a kid that wants to play cricket, and I would like to see him play cricket for England. Hopefully, I think if it hadn't been for that bang on the thumb, an unlucky injury, we might have been talking about and being excited that Jofra was going to play in this first test. But as it says, and Luke's just said that, second test match is a real possibility. So yeah, that just, I think it just makes the excitement around this series even more if Jofra is going to be available for Birmingham. So fingers crossed he gets through a couple of Sussex second team games. Can you imagine that? A young kid, you've been playing club cricket, you've been playing under-19 cricket in the week. You maybe played a second team game in the T20s because the T20s are on at the minute. You've rocked up for Horsham first team and played against some overweight fat lad who bowls at 65 mile an hour. And then you're thrown into a second team game, and the bowler from the end is Jofra Archer. Can't be the real one, surely. And then this ball whizzes past your nose as Jofra and his necklaces and his watch come flying towards you. I mean, that would not really excite me too much if I was a young second team lad. The thought of playing against him would, but the actual thought of facing him wouldn't, especially with him wanting to prove that he's fit to play against India at Birmingham. So, yeah, it might be a difficult week for whoever's playing Sussex second team this week. But fingers crossed that Joff comes through it and he's ready to go because, like I said before, we need to win against India if we stand any chance of beating Australia because of the winning factor, momentum and mentality. And Jofra does enhance that.
The last time Jofra made a comeback in Sussex second 11, he scored 100. Batting at 7, I think he was. Anyway, a reminder that you can that if you are overseas this summer, you can hear live ball-by-ball commentary of England's Test series against India from the venues. We'll be there on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. So make sure that your browser hovers over the talkSPORT app very soon and subscribe. You're listening to Following On with me, Neil Manthorp, along with former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. Next up, we'll turn our attention to this week's World Test Championship final at Lord's and speak to former Australia fast bowler Jason Gillespie.